start the event. Alrighty. Epic. Welcome everybody. Welcome,
Thank you for
Uman.
having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to come and have a chat with us here. I usually get 4 artists from different chains to come and join us and talk about their life, their journey, their process, kind of what made them an artist before NFTs took over their lives. And we've done 10 episodes over 10 weeks in the last 10 weeks. So I thought it might, a couple of times people have suggested getting people on for a one-on-one because then you can get into some kind of more juicy chats, I guess. So yeah, that's what this is. It's episode 10. We've made it this far, and I decided to reach out to the great Uman and get you on to talk about being a human, not a Uman.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm honored. I really love what you guys doing. Your project is amazing. You really engage with it. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Like I said, thanks so much for taking the time. Everyone appreciates it. So, without further ado, everyone is aware of Uman and her incredible work. She works with Procreate and Photoshop. She's been working with that for quite some time. That's with her 2D work. And she also used Maya and Cinema 4D for her 3D work, which I got a lot of questions around. She's a mostly digital artist, but she's also paints with acrylics. Like there's a bunch of Twitter posts. I think if you are a follower of Uman, you'll see her kind of working at that quite often. The project, obviously, that she represents is the World of Umans, and she's currently working fairly tirelessly at turning that into the Uman brand and kind of larger future project as that develops. So yes, Uman, thank you very much for being here. It means a lot. I guess I just want to jumped straight into the kind of my first kind of distinguished question, which is, what was your introduction to art? Where did this all begin? Is this something that you've kind of held with your entire life? Is this a recent endeavor that's morphed into something out of your control? Or tell us about you as the artist.
Well, I've had art classes since I was like 12 years old, but just because no special talent or anything. And then when I was around 16, 17, and 18, I started painting a lot with acrylic in high school. Sold a few of my paintings, and then I was really creative, but I'm not enough. Well, not, I wouldn't say enough, but not to study like fine arts. So I studied design, which I thought it was creative enough, but kind of corporate enough, you would say, I would find an in-between of what I thought I was looking for. And I used to paint during the summers a lot and sell my paintings to save a little bit of money. But just like that, like I wasn't expecting to get anything else out of it. Just save a little bit so that I could travel a little bit more. And then like during the second year of college, I started drawing on my iPad because I missed painting. And I didn't have the time or the money or the space in New York to do that. So I found Procreate, started drawing, and created Planet 81 of the World of Umans. And from there, I just started expanding. I created the humans, more planets, and just connecting the dots to what now is the World of Umans. So yeah, I created those a few years ago, even before I knew of NFTs. I was just trying to put this world that I had in my mind into paper for fun, nothing else.
Okay, so the Umans and like the whole aesthetic and I guess the entire road you've been walking down kind of authentically did come from a just a pursuit of a certain aesthetic or a pursuit of these certain styles, right? And then it developed into an NFT. Like,
Yeah, so I had all of these like many drawings and the humans before I knew of NFTs, and then I think like 3 years after, a friend of mine, because I didn't have any social media or anything, so nobody knew about these drawings that I had, only like my really close friends. And one of my really close friends said to me, he's living in New York right now, and he told me like, I don't know anything about these NFT things, but I think that you can do something with your work. And I was like, okay, but what do you mean? You're introducing me to a space and you don't know anything about. He was like, I try to read an article, but I don't understand anything. So I don't know, for some reason, I really started looking into it and minted a few of my pieces, and then immediately created my first collection, World of Umans in OpenSea. You can find 999 Umans and some 101 pieces, which are the landscapes. And then I got excited and tried to expand my world to more characters, more landscapes, more everything. I honestly never expected to be where I am. Like I never expected to even sell the first
mm,
piece I minted.
I find it.
This was in March.
Yeah, okay. I find yeah, like in March is in March of last year.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So almost a year ago. Like, I remember telling my this to my mom, and then it was really weird because I had like, I don't know, 10 followers on Twitter, and I was minting all of these pieces because it wasn't a random mint or anything, like all of the pieces were available there. Um, and I had some of my pieces collected immediately, like the same day I minted them. But the market wasn't like didn't have a lot of of art. It wasn't saturated at the moment, so I think that's the reason why it happened. But I felt that was the moment that I really got excited and believed that this could
Mm.
actually go somewhere.
That's really interesting. So I'm really curious about like this idea because the Mingos just personally is something that I bent my personal style and I bent my usual narratives to try and fit more of what the space was demanding. However, it seems like you were working on humans for a very long time before they were NFTified or whatever you want to call it. Um, how different or how much influence has turning that work into an NFT project and bringing it into this space? How much has that influenced, um, I guess, the core of the ideas and stuff you began with? Has it been manipulated quite a lot, or have you kind of more fluidly let this kind of whole thing build really naturally? Or is it very different to where you began?
Um, Maybe with Birumans, yeah, because all the other pieces are the same style that I've been created for years now. Not for NFTs, but just because. Birumans it was kind of an experiment. Like uh I was experimenting with technology. I was getting deep into crypto. I found Fantom. That's why I launched the collection there. It's a whole different style. I think that in that particular collection, that's was influenced by the NFT world, by punks, by pixel art, by
Yeah.
everything we see now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
but the rest, no.
and what about the story? I'm more in a narrative sense. Like, did these drawings and these images have like were you already kind of delving down that narrative side before the NFT space kind of I guess demanded that of it, or
Yeah, yeah. So the name Umans, like the first time I draw these creatures, I named them Umans. I don't even know why. No, I don't know the name. I don't know why I put that name. I remember I was in a game dev class and I had to create my own game and just the design. Simple, just to clarify. But I created these characters for this class and I named them Umans and I kind of had to create a little bit of a narrative there. So I'm grateful to that class. And then
Right.
that class was only for one semester and I kept building from there. I had like the story kind of clear in my head and then of course my friend Chronic Dispositions was the one who helped me put that into beautiful words because I'm not good with words.
Mm-hmm. So hey, this all came from, well, a lot of it came from design, being in design university and kind of being pushed to be inspired in a lot of ways, and like being
100%.
wow, okay,
I studied industrial design, product design,
product design,
and I decided that I didn't want to do that
but
when I couldn't change anymore. So I had to. So the only few classes that I could be flexible with, I took like 3D animation, game
mm,
design. And in those classes, I felt really challenged because I wasn't studying that, and I
mm,
wasn't drawing at the moment, or like a lot, like all of my classmates, they were illustration majors and animation majors. So I was surrounded with amazing, super talented people. So I was really challenged to pull something out, and, and yeah, never expected to say this, but yeah, women were born on one of my classes during college.
that's so epic. Um, everyone, I guess the real roots of the ideas come to people at completely different times when you least expect it. Can we talk about more like your actual approach to an Uman? Like, how does one of these start? Do you start, obviously each one obviously has a very similar approach in a lot of ways, but just in terms of like the structure or the hierarchy of which way things go, like, you know, the pencil sketch, does everything start with a sketch? Does everything start with a blueprint? Can you kind of step us through how you would approach each one? Also in the strive of keeping each one unique and all that sort of stuff. Like what how do you reach out? How do you like kind of begin and end at different points every time?
The first 2 months definitely started with a sketch. I'm not good with sketches. I am really not, but I had to do sketches to prove
What do you
process because
so
that's
you,
what
so
people
you
like to
mean
say.
like you just kind of go for it? You're just like, all right, like I'm just gonna start laying this color down, and then I'll slam this color down. Like you don't think about it. You kind of just more express.
Yeah, kind of. That's why it is so difficult for me because I don't have a sketchbook to go back to and see or like iterations. I kind of erase, do it again. I don't like it. I erase, I do it again until I kind of get where I want. But the first 2 months I had to do sketches, so I do have the sketches of those. And then the hands, for example, it's not like I have hand exploration until I find the one that I like. I try to draw and erase until I figure out which one I think is the hand position that I want to achieve. So once I have the body laid out, um, the eyes are kind of one of the most important things, and then the hands. And once I have those two ready, which take me a long time, I do accessories that for some reason are a little bit easier because the ones can wear, in my head, anything they want as earrings and as
Mm.
necklaces and stuff. Yeah.
And so all 1,000 of these humans, the original humans, they literally were 1,000 that you approached completely individually and you finished individually. Like they're essentially 1,000 one-at-ones, correct?
At the beginning, they were even more. The collection was bigger. I started with like 2,222,
Jesus.
and it took, but yeah, I don't know, just because I like that number. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I don't know if you guys know, but it took me many months to sell all of these pieces. And
Well,
I
it.
heard from a lot of people in the community that I should um, just lower the size, and I decided to
Mhm.
lower the size to 999.
Yeah, so that community was organically growing as you were kind of getting through each one. It took a while to mint them, but I'm thinking it also just took a while to actually create them, right? Like you kind of weren't, you hadn't fully prepared this massive release. It was kind of just like you
I
dove
was
in.
uploading them one by one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And you dove
Yeah, like
really
I didn't.
deep in, right? Like someone's like, "Yo, ape into this idea," and you've gone, "Okay, cool. I'm doing 2,000 of these things. I'm going for this." And that was that really encouraged purely by those early mints that you were talking about, how they just kind of started selling, and you were like, "Fuck, I
When
should."
I started, minters weren't a thing, you know.
Mm,
Like the only fake collections that I saw out there was hash masks and CryptoPunks. And
mm,
then you saw like a lot of other things in OpenSea, like random stuff. So the concept, at least in my head, like the minting process wasn't a thing, like wasn't even an option. I thought
mm.
people uploaded to OpenSea one by one. Like that's what I found. And that's what I did. Uh,
I
so
think.
it took me a long time. That's why some of them have spelling mistakes.
Mm,
So it was a handmade process that took me a very long time. I didn't know better. I didn't know anybody who was involved in this, and I had no followers on Twitter, no Discord, no nothing. So it was just me trying something new. Never expected anything.
mm. It's kind of just turned into what it is, but I think that's probably like that's what most people find, I think, valuable about your project and the way that it's kind of organically come together. You know. Um, Jaka's here is kind of sharing. I feel like a lot of people's kind of amazement in the fact that there's no dev or anything. It's just kind of uploaded them all. That you just kind of like. This was early days though, right? Like you kind of your team has built and the people around you. You were talking about chronic disposition before. There's people who just naturally have joined the journey. Is that correct?
Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm saying I'm looking at what at the chat. Yeah, no, nothing. Manually, everything at the beginning. That's why Umans was me exploring tech, and that's where devs came and and the project started getting even bigger. And then Ancestral Umans is it's like both, you know, the art, my process of doing everything how I want, and then teaming up with people who know about the technology. So it's been a learning process, a growing process for me, my work,
Mm.
everything. I wouldn't change things because I love how everything turned out to be, but of course if I had the chance to redo some stuff, like I would.
And are you curious and interested in the generative side of things and preparing an actual generative like project together, like a layered or stacked Photoshop file and stuff? Is that something you've looked into?
Uh, what do you mean?
As in, like, when you have AI intervention, right? So when someone comes in and writes a code with a set of metadata to kind of talk to the program which you've been editing and creating in, kind of thing. Um, yeah. So
So yeah, that's kind of like how Ancestral Humans, you know, I had
mm-hmm.
many layers, and then like in one same position, and
Mm-hmm.
made these combinations to create the
What do you
ancestral humans.
what
So
do you prefer? Do you prefer yeah, taking the time and the attention on each one, and kind of bringing them to life in their own, kind of giving them their own birth story, or do you were you more intrigued in kind of how the generative process worked, and you were stuck to structure and all the rest of it?
both, because it's it's part of the time period that we are right now. And, this we're making history, and this is what's going to be written. This generative collections. So
Mm-hmm.
I love having both. Definitely in the Umans on OpenSea, I see some, and like I recognize how I felt doing this, and like like there's some sort of connection that you have when you're choosing absolutely everything. But I have to enjoy the process of both, learning, even understand how it works. It's been great.
For sure, I feel the exact same way. I guess my next question is, I dropped an image of the kind of background of this beautifully coloured work that you shared with me. I guess that's like kind of tapping into the lore and the world of Umans, right? Like, can you talk about like kind of where else are you learning? Where's new information coming at you now? Where does that come from? Where are you pushing yourself at the current point?
The story now is like the thing that's getting me inspired the most. Like we have this beautiful story written, and now I want to put that in images. Like I want people to be able to read and see at the same time. Um, so when I talk about like these humans living inside a huge tree, I want people to see a little bit at least of how the inside of a huge tree looks like. So I
Mm.
have my whole life to to make more paintings and drawings about how the world of woman looks, and like all of the planets,
Mm.
and in the future
Mm.
what they wear, and just in general. Like I have all of
Mm.
these ideas and vision in my head. I just have to make hopefully more time of my day to actually put this on paper or an iPad to share it with you. And so when you read the story and you actually get into the world of humans by words, you can envision them through my drawings too.
Yeah, that's incredible. So there's kind of obviously a direction that's taking you kind of further into the concept, and then I guess the collectors and everyone is kind of following you further into that concept. Whether it stretches out to lore, whether it stretches out to storytelling and stuff. It is a place that you're kind of being allowed to explore quite freely, is it?
Yeah, for sure. I I'm currently working on some a big project that kind of puts together story and art, and I want to keep expanding that um, in the future. Like right now,
Mm.
people expect things to be happening quick, but this is my life project, and I hope I can still be creating human stuff in 20 years. So I'm taking the time to do things right. But yeah, it's basically about the story and these characters and the interaction between each other and the ether and the phantom verse and the search of ataraxia, and the whole idea of that there can only be 999 numbers of the ether to maintain
Mm.
the balance. Yeah,
Sweet.
there's still a lot to be explored.
Yeah, but you're right. There is no rush. I think one of the most harmful things you can do to yourself is feel the pressure of the space. Um, if you feel like you've got something to say and something of value, then it's all about patience, right? And just doing it right and saying it right. Um, Kind of leads me on to another question as well. Like, I'm really keen to know kind of themes that you like to play with, like if Umans and the World of Umans and everything you've kind of worked really tirelessly at creating, if there were to be a message or some sort of underlying theme to, you talk about the interactions of Umans, how they live their lives and the things they do, the different planets they live on and stuff, like in amongst all this storytelling and all this incredible visual work, do you kind of have an underlining theme and message? Like, is it, you know, like, is that something as an artist? I mean, is there something, is there a kind of a narrative and an inner narrative that,
Yeah, I think the idea of reaching ataraxia, which is like that thing that we all humans are trying to reach out, like this nirvana, this peaceful place, like be the most enlightened spirits uh, or souls that we can be, but exploring it from humans, not from the human perspective, and then like inject this random and maybe weird and trippy ways to analyze how these creatures are reaching to this point. You know, I don't know. It's complex, and I haven't 100% figured it out. But it's
mm,
more about the idea of how can we be better and achieve
yeah,
this sort of enlightenment that we're trying to all reach somehow,
so
or
it's
we expect to reach.
yeah, I like that. So it's almost like allowing humans to live vicariously through humans in their kind of
Yeah, yeah,
own
like
pursuit.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Like how to maintain the balance and like working with others.
yeah.
Just how do you live your best life, kind of, but from a different story.
It's really interesting the way that it's all kind of evolving. Is there any plans for the immediate future and kind of what's coming up, or like you know, without dropping any too much juicy details, like what's kind of consuming you day to day at the moment?
So I'm working on a big project that I cannot say so much right now, but like other immediate things would be the 3D avatars for ancestral human holders. Those are being created just so people can be humans in the metaverse or
And
in
this is by you.
VR.
It's created by you, right? All the
And
three.
I'm not making the 3D. No, 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 no.
Well,
I
can you talk about the
Yeah.
3D programs and stuff you use? What have you been doing there?
So I have two pieces. I have Planet 81 version in 3D and the gate in 3D that I created those using Maya and Cinema 4D. Like I know that how to use them to create the pieces that I want, but the objects in 3D are not functional at all. Like I haven't got there. I really enjoy, but also I don't have the equipment to render the quality that I would like either, so I've
Yeah.
stopped doing 3D. I really, really enjoy it, but at the moment I cannot put my whole energy into learning those programs fully. Like
Mm.
I would have to have a proper computer to to be able to render something for 24 hours, which I currently don't have. Um,
So it's like it's kind of fascinating for you to kind of you dipped your toes into this other world or these other programs, and really love what you've learnt. But like you said, you don't have the computer for it. Is that right?
I mean, the computer and the knowledge for making, for example, these avatars and
Yeah.
make sure that they're gonna move properly. You know, like I know how to model, I know how to texture, I know how to render, I know that stuff, but I don't know how to animate in 3D, and I don't know how to rig a character in 3D. So no, I'm doing that with someone who's working with me. I'm being the art director in this case. I'm not the artist. Um, which has been great too, to see how other people kind of interpret like or envision your work and work with what you have, you know. I think it's gonna be it must be very difficult to take something 2D
Yeah.
and bring that essence of the 2D into 3D.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing, and I think it's gonna be great.
It's incredible. Um, yeah, can you talk about just a bit? Let's just talk about a little bit more about your style and I kind of just want to know about your background of color and your introduction to color. There seems to be so much reference to pinks and blues and stuff like that. Is this a homage to kind of where you began and like your early years as an expressive artist, or like where's I mean, when you start applying color, right? And your profile pic is a great example. Where you choose to apply the yellows and onto the purples. And actually, I actually watched a video, a time lapse of you using and working with acrylics and putting acrylic painting together. And I saw that you had the bucket hat, or the hat that she was wearing, that Uman was wearing, one color, and then at some point it just changed color. You just decided to change the color. So can you talk about like kind of that, like with the process? Is it fully planned, or you just kind of let color choices and happen kind of supernaturally? And where does that relationship come from?
It happens super naturally. I never plan color. I've never had. I just like that time lapse. I if I have to paint 30 times that bucket hat until I really find the color that I want to, I do that. So I didn't plan that painting before. Like I started adding color as I was going, and I had to do the bucket hat 2 times, the eyes a couple of times too. Like they were they were they were changes that I had to make. The thing is that with digital art, that's a lot easier because changing color is faster, and I think that's why I've enjoyed so much with digital art because I can have many layers, all of them with different colors until I really feel satisfied with, with the colors that I'm using. I enjoy painting a lot more than drawing. I'm more a painter than a drawer. So color is very important for me. The one that you sent right now, I was feeling green that day, and right now I painted up that one like 3, 4 years ago probably.
Mm.
I I've changed the color of that one like a few days ago, and no, and like that green is the perfect one. Like I haven't found another one that looks better because I tried to do that just in case my brain changed or like I found a new favorite color.
Mm.
And most of the times they look better how they were done in the first place.
Yeah, so 9 times out of 10, your instinct is kind of the thing that works the best.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an instinct. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you is can you talk about your so artistic inspirations? Because like I don't know if this hits home at all, but especially when I look at the gate, I see a lot of inspiration, or I see a lot of Frida Kahlo vibes from it. Can you yeah, are there any kind of large, and not just artistic, can you just talk about kind of like influences or some inspirations and yeah, kind of yeah, inspirations around like other artists and other artists' work and other things that have kind of helped your expressiveness along the way?
So, oh, okay. So there's two things. One, I'm really into photography too. Actually, while I wasn't painting at all, I used photography as my creative medium, and a lot of my pieces, like some leave or symbol or whatever that you can see in the piece comes from the photographies that I took during those 5 years that I was like very into photography. So me going through my old photos and patterns or stuff, that's where a lot of like my drawings come from. But then I Umans as the character themselves. I never thought of this, but a lot of my friends back from Ecuador and my family members, they told me that my humans looked like Osvaldo Guayasamin's work. He was an Ecuadorian artist, one of the most famous Ecuadorian artists of all times. He used to paint a lot of indigenous people, but in his own like very particular style. And my friends back home, my family members back home, they told me that I had something from him. Like I was, like you can see the resemblance of my humans on his work on my humans.
Could you spell his name? I just want to try and grab a picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, okay, you put it in the chat. Go on. And
And
this is a name that your family brought up because they saw the resemblance. It's not. Is it not a It's not.
yeah,
That's interesting.
I know. I mean, we studied him. He's like a very famous artist in Ecuador. He has a museum there. Like I know him, everybody knows him, but I never thought of my humans looking similar to his work. Like that wasn't on my mind. And then people brought that to me, and now I realized that that's 100%. Like a lot of his work influenced me some way or another.
Yeah, I see it. I very much see it. It's quite his work is quite dark. I think yours is
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, not in that sense, but maybe the hands and the eyes.
I
I
no
don't
no
know.
don't get me wrong. I definitely see what they're saying. I definitely see the
Yeah,
resemblance.
but
Absolutely.
he's dark. He's dark.
So what
But
about
he's I love his work and everything too.
uh-huh.
So
What about
it was a compliment.
super young Uman? Like what you say that I like the way you described. Oh, when I wasn't painting, when you were traveling, you picked up the Were you using a film camera or you were using a digital SLR?
The digital camera.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So you talk about like you fall out of painting and then you're like, ah, fuck, what am I gonna do now? And you find a medium and you find another way to express yourself.
Photography.
Can you talk about like
Hmm.
where did that come from? What's young Uman like? What sent you on this path of constantly needing some sort of creative output?
Um, so in high school, I was painting a lot. I painted a lot of female bodies. I don't know why, probably because you always have a reference. I was playing with color, but with proportion and just the body. It's amazing. So I started with that. Then I graduated. I was gonna study marine biology because I'm really into science. I don't know anything now, but I was gonna study marine biology because I was really into science at that moment. I did that one semester. I realized I wasn't being creative at all. Like I was surrounded with scientists, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Realized immediately that wasn't my thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the opposite side and decided to study at an art school in New York City. Like a very liberal place filled with artists. I was surrounded with
Mm-hmm.
amazing people all the time, like very, very, very talented people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing design, and when you're doing design, you have to do practical stuff. Like whatever you make, it has to work, so you don't have all the freedom that you want to have. And I really like to travel too. I spent every weekend or every holiday that I could traveling as far as I could, and I needed to save this memory. So I started taking photos with my phone, and
Mm-hmm.
then I kind of actually realized that they were really good photos, but the quality wasn't good enough because it was taking through a phone. So I started using, yeah, I took my dad's camera to college, started taking photos with that, became my thing. For 5 years, I thought I was gonna do it. I was gonna be a professional photographer. At least that was my dream. Like that kind of dream that you never think that it's gonna happen, but if somebody asks you, what do you want in life? I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer.
Wow.
And and then things got rough at school, so I couldn't travel anymore. I went during a night in New York, take photos, but I needed something else. Like I was feeling a little bit limited. And that's when Umans were born to be kind of illustrating. I I've never drawn before. Like I'm not that kind of person who's born and draws. But I started doing that just because I had this idea in my head. And then I graduated, and then the pandemic, and then crypto happened. So it's been it's been kind of
Yeah.
crazy, but
It's been a bit of a wild journey, it sounds, in the best way possible, I guess. You know, you just, I guess, given yourself up to so many versions of yourself, and then out of that has come this something that you want to pursue for your life. And I find that really interesting as well. I work with my band and all that sort of stuff, and I've been trying to integrate narrative and characters for many, many years, probably 6 or 7 years now, being in that band. And I see it very much the same way. I've found something that I want to spend my life. I found a story that I want to spend my life telling, and I'm really keen to spend my life telling that. And you're,
it's such a wonderful feeling, right?
it is really, well, it's purpose, is it not? It's, we all just feel more whole when we have, purpose and a reason to be here, right?
Yeah, I didn't put that word. But this is so true. I didn't connect the word purpose to what I'm doing right now, and it makes so much sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. So can you talk about how the space has changed? Can you talk about from your introduction to kind of like the original collection and your introduction into Ethereum, and then this move over to Fantom? Can you kind of talk about how you've seen everything change, just in your eyes, not in the perspective of any of the space or what it demands, just like how you've literally witnessed and seen the NFT space change for you?
So I knew about crypto before, but I wasn't into it until I heard of NFTs. And when you are going to start a new collection in OpenSea, you have to pay a fee and the gas fees and stuff. And so getting ETH is complicated when you don't have the right credit card, you know. And none of my Ecuadorian cards worked because why, you just can't buy crypto with an Ecuadorian card. And the only one that I had was from New York, and for some reason my New York debit card didn't let me either. And so it took me a few hours to figure out how to buy. It wasn't easy. Actually, I couldn't in the end. Someone had to send me, and I like transferred them USD, but they gave me the like they sent me to my empty wallet. And with that money, I created the OpenSea account and minted all of the pieces. Um, and there I like realized how difficult it is to get into crypto if you're not in a world that's open, like a country that's open to it. Started making some sales, so I started making some ETH, and and then when I had the ETH and I learned about other ecosystems like Fantom, I could use that ETH and bridge into Fantom to explore that tech. You know, like the biggest step was make like transferring USD to ETH or to any other like crypto. And now it's like everything. I've seen the space grow so much, even people around me. I got my family into it, all of my friends into crypto. I'm telling them it's the future. Like my perspective on yeah, on money, on currency has changed so much. I've learned so much. But I still think that for me is normal because I've been here for almost a year and I've been working with the technology and meeting people and talking and learning and reading. But if you're not into it and if you don't have the resources like I did, like even the language, you have a big barrier to enter into this world. Like a lot of people in Ecuador that want to get into, they cannot because they cannot purchase or like yeah buy any crypto because you don't have the credit you don't have you cannot with your Ecuadorian credit cards. And even the information, all of the information that you find is in English and it's difficult to understand. It is. Even if you try to explain someone, it's difficult to understand. It's like a whole new world. So now it's normal for me. It's something it's part of my life. Like I read about this, I check about this all the time. But there's moments in my day that I realize that there's a, everybody that I know that haven't gotten into this space because the information is difficult to comprehend and there's no access to it. There's no access to buying crypto. You know, even Binance, like even Coinbase. I cannot have Coinbase because I'm not from country or just and dexes are complicated. People don't understand how they work. It's just a whole new world.
Absolutely. Um, what was your introduction? What was your introduction to the Fantom space in particular? Like, because Fantom's taking you on a bit of a journey. You know, you went, you were invited to the convention and all that sort of stuff. Like, what catapulted you into Fantom? Was it your own interest, or was it an introduction from someone else that you met on the Ethereum chain? And can you?
My partner, he got into he's really into crypto too, but he's a tech savvy. So once I started my NFT journey, he got 100% into crypto and started researching and learning by himself. And he told me we should do a collection in Fantom. The moment I didn't understand why or anything, but he's the one who introduced me to the space and pushed me to do it there.
Mhm. Interesting. And what was that whole experience being kind of so accepted, invited into the space with such open arms from the foundation and from everyone else? Can you talk a bit about that experience for you and what that was like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. So I entered the Fantom ecosystem at, in April, probably, I think, end of April. And it took me it took me a month, exactly a month to mint to sell out all the Umans. And
Mm-hmm.
it was slow at the moment. Like that's where Tinfoil and I kind of met. It was during the minting process of Umans. He did a video. I was super excited because someone did a video about it. And since then our yeah, our friendship has grown. But it was a couple of months, or maybe two, yeah, a couple of months after Piruman sold out that I started actually making friends and doing something else in the ecosystem. It is small now. Imagine how small it was in April and May. Um, and then I think it was the last summer that I started talking to Austin FTM Alerts and J Money NPC for the Strange Brew like collab and the like the NFTs collab, and that's where like I started actually collaborating with other people in the space. And yeah, and after that, I decided to do the Ancestral Umans collection, and that was successful. So I think that's the reason. Well, probably not. I don't think that's the reason, but that was what pushed me to kind of be invited to speak in the conference and everything. Like I think after August is it August was the month that things started to actually change for me. It was pretty slow before, and then August, September, October, things went nuts, and everything changed. I don't know why. Like even um, there's a painting that I did for one of the Umans in the Open Sea collection, and Tinfoil had it, but I think it was for sale for a month or so, or even more for 1/8, and it was difficult to sell. That was July, I think, and then August was crazy. Yeah, it was like something changed. I don't know what changed, but from one month to another, things were completely different.
Well, you've just been working at it, right? Like that's just, I guess, naturally what happens. Something's got to give at some point, and then it just kind of all takes off there, and you go for the journey, which is what you're on now.
Yeah.
About that journey, can you talk about like what you believe to be the most productive form of encouragement and support from the space? Like, where does that come from? Does it come from in sales? Does it come from in people reaching out? Does it come from like what really hits home for you as an artist when someone in the form of support?
No, I mean, so sales are always exciting, but I didn't have sales for a long time, and I was already into Twitter and chatting with people all day, like waking up and replying to the tweets that I see, and saying good morning, making new friends and chatting with you, and it just feels like I belong here right now. Like it makes me feel present talking to all of you guys and interacting with you. Beautiful. I think that's what inspires me the most.
So it's kind of
Like
remain.
waking up and see Twitter and seeing the good morning. It's
Yeah.
my
Okay.
favorite part.
So it's almost like remaining human in this very large tech, I guess, computer-driven, enigma-driven world that we live in. Having human connection and relationships, and like good morning, I guess, is that one thing that everyone.
It Yeah, it feels so weird. I never thought to have this connection because I was really anti social media and stuff. It's weird
Mm.
because I spent like most of my day in it now, but I was really and like I couldn't believe how people could actually have a relationship or any sort of friendship through a game or through the internet. Like I didn't understand. And now I've done real friendships. Like I could I've met the most beautiful souls through the internet. I don't, some I've seen faces, some I haven't seen faces, some I know names, some I don't know names, but that's you can like feel the essence of the person through here. It's magical. It's weird.
It is kind of weird. I'm kind of the same in a lot of ways. Like I was so against Instagram and this perpetuation of ego, and I guess people just sharing such. I mean, I used to be quite nihilistic in a lot of ways. Like I used to look at the way people just shared such valueless moments of their life just so willingly. flooding these places like Facebook and Instagram with just images of just like what people were, I guess, just where they were rather than what they were doing, if you know what I mean. And that for so long drew me away from those spaces. But yeah, I feel like there's something with Discord and there's something with Twitter that is kind of just more about promoting your work and what you're doing and what you're about, rather than,
Yeah, and being honest, you can tweet whatever you want, whatever you feel, whatever you think, and it feels natural. Instagram, it's weird. I don't have Instagram, and I don't think I will. Not now, not for the moment, at least. Like, it doesn't feel right.
It's really funny. You just sum it up in one word. It's weird. Yeah, but you're right. It is weird, because people are free to do what they want, but it is weird. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I feel good with Twitter. I've had Twitter since 2011, I think. It's my same account, but I was private, and I didn't have a photo or a name or anything. I just used it to read stuff. And it felt good. It always felt good. To Instagram, no, I don't have Instagram, even though people encourage me to show my photos and my work there. And I was like, what's the point? And I still don't understand it. Maybe in the future I would change my mind, and if I do, I will open an account, but
I don't think
I'm not there yet.
I doubt it'll be around in the future, to be honest. I think people will just lose interest after a while. They'll probably come to Twitter and Discord. I want to try and tap into your dreams and your kind of the ambition behind your work. And I guess by doing this, I kind of want to ask 20 years. And that's maybe just cut it down to 10. In this space, it's just really hard to kind of think like that in general. But yeah, 10, 20 years from now, what are you doing? What are you doing day to day? And where is Umans at in your mind? Give us the. I kind of want.
20 years is a long time. So if it's
what's
doing or launching a TV show, like a really good World of Umans TV show, and pushing it until it's like the best freaking animated TV show. And me, 20 years, probably I'm gonna be back home in Ecuador. Right now I'm all over the place. I don't have like one, just being a nomad, taking advantage of the time that we live in. But probably 20 years from now, I would be in Ecuador. In Ecuador, but traveling a lot, because I wouldn't be able to make the best TV show in the world if I did only in Ecuador. But
okay. No, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I tapped into the. It's very evident what the dream is. You want to create this very succinct universe. You want to create a whole bunch of plethora of characters, and then you want to start pulling them into a really engaging and fun story and movie. Well, TV shows. You put it right. That's basically where where you want to get it to.
I want the word Uman to resonate with more people, not only crypto.
Of course.
Just make something bigger using the tech and what we have available now, and I cannot imagine what we're gonna have in 20 years, or using what we have, but expanding it as much as I can in the best way possible.
And you talked as well about getting back to Ecuador, and I'm just going to go ahead and tie that into your earlier comment about these the difficulties that you experienced trying to even just mobilize yourself in the crypto space while you're living in Ecuador. Is there something in your journey that's factored in kind of getting back to Ecuador and helping facilitate more artists from Ecuador entering the space and stuff like that? Because I'd imagine there's you've got all your friends back home and everything that have witnessed this long, amazing journey that you've been on, and you've witnessed, you've said that you've kind of brought a couple of people along the way. But is it still very difficult to enter the space in Ecuador at the current point? And is that something you want to kind of try and change and help?
I definitely want. I am trying already with some artists. The thing is that it's a right now currently it's a space for the privileged. I hate to say it that way, but it is how it is right now. Like that's how it is. One, because of the language, and because it's not cheap,
Yeah.
and because you have to have connection to someone in another country to access. And then the real big problem is it's more of a government thing. I mean, I hope in the future, with more knowledge, it becomes more accessible because the government allows it. Right now, it doesn't matter if you have the means or not. You cannot buy crypto with your Ecuadorian card. You
Yeah.
just can't.
It's just it's a no zero tolerance policy, basically, currently.
Yeah, I don't even know a lot.
It's
I just know that it's impossible. I shouldn't get any more into it. But most of the people don't even know what it is, or it's
yeah,
considered
yeah,
like a
yeah.
joke, like a scam. A scam.
It's quite.
Crypto is a scam for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, rightfully so, though. I guess there is a lot of Ponzi scammers out there and stuff, just doing everyone a bad name. But that's always going to happen. It's really interesting, though. You say there's basically a zero tolerance policy from the Ecuadorian government, right? For whatever reason that might be. But that does actually, it's very similar, not similar, but you can still, I think you can mobilize a lot easier here in Australia. And of course, the language barrier is not a thing, but the government here definitely still puts a mound of pressure. And it is kind of a zero tolerance policy here in Australia, at least for the first 12 months of earning in crypto. They tax you 100%, and then it's 50% in the next year and all that sort of stuff. So they're not really
100%.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because, like we're talking about this, there's other developing nations in the world that have really have kind of accepted this and embrace this as a possible step into a new direction. Whilst there's other countries as well that are kind of completely, plainly denying its existence and just won't accept it to be a form of currency, and that's kind of like putting so many pressures on people. I've really much enjoyed my life in Australia, and I grew up in Papua New Guinea. That's kind of not where I haven't been here my whole life, but my adult life I've spent here, and I really enjoy it. But in a lot of ways, I'm looking at what's transpiring, and the more and more time I spend in the space, and the more and more I earn, it's a bit more of a paycheck than I've ever been used to. The harder it gets to see my future in Australia. I'm already kind of looking at options to get out and get to a place that's allows me.
Of course, exactly. Like, why would you stay if your purpose is what you're doing right now, and your country's not helping you with that? It's the same for me. Like, I cannot do what I want back home, so I have to find some other place that it's okay with what we're all doing. But I honestly think it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time.
Time and money as well, though, right? Like, unfortunately, there's a zero tolerance policy right now, and I already know there's a few of my friends from the past who just had to leave, and they live in other places in the world now. And they're extremely intelligent, really forward-thinking people that are a service to anywhere that they're living. So it's just a shame in my mind of, this zero tolerance policy. Unfortunately, just pushes so many people out and breaks up so many communities, because like you said, what do you do? Like how are you supposed to, you just have to make these decisions because it's just the natural progression of where you're going. Like if you're spending all your time and making all your all your security and your funds through this space, then and if they're not making it easier for you, they're not giving you as many choices, like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wow. I thought Australia was open to it. Probably because there's a lot of people in the community that are from Australia, and
I think they're just
yeah.
they're just stubborn to it. I think they just don't. I think once they see, or once it's very visible, or they can see how much money is kind of being spent on it and stuff, then they might be interested. But for its application and the way that it can kind of, are governments really going to be incentivized by something like NFTs and cryptocurrencies and decentralization? I don't know. No, exactly right.
Probably not.
So there's a larger, more philosophical kind of answer, I think, to it. That just really. Okay. Oh well. So where do you see the space changing, and kind of how do what are you most excited for as Fantom grows and as the other chains grow and as the ecosystem grows? What are you kind of most excited for, just in particular NFTs, not so much cryptos? And as well as excited, what are you also kind of a little bit fearful of? Like, what do you wish or hopes doesn't happen, or whether it's the interjection of big brands and big corporate money, or what are you excited for, and what are you mildly fearful for?
Well, our community is not so big, so of course, growing our family would be an amazing thing. I hope that over time, people don't get bored and leave us, because I think that's going to happen in all of the chains.
What do you mean? What do you mean
NFTs,
getting bored? What do you mean getting bored?
because there's a lot of people that join the community because they're into NFTs and stuff, but eventually you get busy with your life and you leave put to Twitter aside, which is fine, but then it becomes a smaller community. If you're not 100% involved, you will eventually turn the other direction, or won't be fully immersed in the space like we have a lot of people right now. I just think that the NFT hype is gonna fade a little bit and then come back, but it's gonna fade a little bit in the future just because it's part of the cycle. We're gonna see people leaving and then eventually new people coming back. I just hope we can make the space grow. And then I don't like brands using taking advantage of the space. We've seen a couple. I don't think they've succeeded. I don't know. If it's about the money, yeah, you can do whatever you want. People are gonna buy whatever they want, but they never stay in the community.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's something that I'm really kind of aware of, is and I'm just going off kind of a lot of the collateral conversations that I have with people either locally or people online as well, just who are wanting to ape into the space, some of the biggest finance companies in the world, the top of their agenda is crypto and sometimes NFTs and stuff. I know I can feel the air of a massive growth that might even happen this year. And when I say growth, I just mean almost a flooding, right? Just people just flooding into the space, hyping into the space without maybe possibly understanding its full potential or whatever. It's gonna. I guess we got to keep together as community, right? And we just got to make sure we just stay connected in that way. As I'm talking about the people who are already here and the people who are putting in a lot of time and effort to grow the space organically. When we lose grips of that organic growth and it just goes out of control, it can be a pretty wild space, I guess, to navigate.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, we've been here for many months. We stayed here for many years.
So you're hopeful. Nothing much about the way you see the space is doubtful, right? You're hopeful where it goes. All right. Well, I'm just going to give an opportunity for people in the chat to throw some questions down. If there's anything you would like to know that we haven't discussed today. Uman, thank you so much again. It's so easy and natural to talk to you. It's just so audibly a journey that you're falling in love with every day that it grows. So it's, again, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to come and talk about who you are as a person and what's brought you to the space.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, for your help the other day, for doing this, not only with me, but other amazing artists in the space. This is the kind of stuff that we need, bringing people together, and you're doing this so well, and we all appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. It means heaps. Just going to keep doing it and keep growing the audience and making the conversations more juicy.
Yes. Please know that I'm here. I'm here for you guys.
Yeah.
If you send me a message and I don't respond, I will pretty soon. But thank you for your patience and for your support.
We've got many chains to go. So obviously, Alex and I will be sharing so much of what we learn as we go hop chain to chain. What we learn and the stuff that we gain along the way is everyone's, and especially those who reach out like yourself and the Potluck crew and stuff like that. As we learn multi-chain, as we go around the space and stuff, we're always happy to kind of, just give up everything we learn to if it aids your journey as well in any way. So don't be a stranger.
No, you could. We'll stay in touch for sure. Thank you guys for being here, for listening, for taking the time to be with us. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Said so well. This has been the finale of episode 10 of Final Export. We've been talking with the great Uman. She's obviously the artist of the World of Umans project. We talked about her use and work of colour and composition of her sketchless Umans that get created in Procreate. Her attempt and the creation of these Umans and her characters in Cinema 4D for her 3D versions. Her mostly digital art, but her dabbles with acrylic paints and acrylic works as well. It's been so good to get perspective and hear you talk about your work. Thank you so much again, Uman, and thank you everybody for tuning in. I'll get this get this up on YouTube as soon as possible. You're a bloody legend, as we say in Australia.
You too. You too.
Thanks so much for your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Tune in next week.
Peace.
All right. Peace. No worries. See you guys.